Welcome to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is creating unity through music. And today we're back in Studio One at the worldwide headquarters of the Planetary Gig Society for a special conversation with a great musician, great friend, all-around fabulous guy, Mr. Jay Summerour. Jay, thanks very much for taking the time and being here.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
It's great to see you. There's so many people in our lives who we don't know exactly the first time we saw them, but we know something. It had to be, the barbershop or Blues Week. You were playing with Warner Williams or something, and we got to be friends.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We have a great community here. The music community is great, and you've been playing for a long time. One of our good friends, Alan Holmes, when we saw you all at with Rick Franklin playing one night, he said, Jay's one of my favorite harmonica players of all time. Coming from Alan, that means a lot,
That's great.
He's a good player. So really appreciate your being here. I know you have quite a background in music. It goes all the way back, because I know you told me your grandmother taught you to whistle.
Yes, she did.
So I know that music is in your background. So talk a little bit about just when you remember music. Was there music all around in the family? Did you ever take lessons? Did your parents play? How did music kind of come into your life and grab you the way that it has?
Music always been in my life. I remember when I was younger hearing my grandfather play. He played the guitar. And I was always in the garden with my grandma, and she always whistled. She said she couldn't play a lick or nothing, but she could whistle. And I loved to hear her whistle, and so I actually picked it up, and I've been doing it ever since. And she was so into music. She wanted me to play a trumpet. So just any kind of instrument. We always had a piano, but she gave me a trumpet, and I took lessons like when I was like 6 years old,
wow,
6
really?
or 7 years. I took trumpet lessons, and I did that for a while until I got in high school, but I always had a harmonica because people in the neighborhood used to sit around this guy's backyard, this guy named Big Cliff up in Rockville. And Mr. Warren was one of the guys, him, my granddad, and this guy. There'd be about 6 or 7 guys in the backyard playing music all the time. So kids would go around and hide in the backyard and listen to them play music, and it was cool. So that's how I just really like music, and people would be around all the time. So I said, golly, that would be cool to be able to sit around and play music. I ain't never think of making money with it,
Yeah.
Yeah, but plus, back in the days, like, it was a lot of juke joints, and my uncle's family, my Uncle Robert, his family had a place called a Dewdrop Inn.
Oh, yeah, Dewdrop Inn.
Yeah, up in Gaithersburg, and it was a little juke joint, but it was cool because, like, back then they had the chillin' circuit, which was like James Brown, Etta James, Little Richard, and just a whole lot of different people came through going to Chicago, like from down south,
wow.
So they would stop there and play. So I always got to hear a
that's
lot
some
of
good
blues.
music you were listening to.
I just, got in there, had ball games, and I was all into baseball. So, they had ball games, dances, music, just all the time, on the weekends and stuff. That was a way for people to have something to do, because back then, when I grew up back in the 50s, so it was a lot going on, like black people stayed to black people, white people stayed to white people. But I had a lot of white friends, so it was still cool, But I just always heard music. My mom played it in the yard when she had companies, They would be out in the yard playing the blues, and I just love it.
Yeah, a couple questions. So you played trumpet, and you took lessons. Were you ever in a band playing trumpet or anything, or did you kind of stop playing that after a while, or?
I was in a school band, and like us, in elementary school and middle school, took lessons then. And when I got in high school, I was more of an athlete. I was into baseball. I wanted to be a professional baseball player.
Wow.
That was going to be my career, That's what I wanted anyway.
I was kind of a jock, too, but we didn't have a lot of music in our family, so I didn't have that outlet.
Yeah.
So you didn't play too much. Played in the high school band, but you focused on music a lot. I mean, on baseball a lot.
On baseball, but I always had my harmonica. My spare time, I would sit in my backyard because my grandma raised me. I would sit in the backyard and play music, man. That's all I did all the time. I'd walk in the woods. I used to like to walk a lot for exercise and stuff, and hike and stuff like that. And then I had a bunch of friends from Twin Brook that would go camping every summer. We would go camping like for a week, maybe 2 weeks out of our summer vacation. And we would play music while we were camping. So that was a lot of music in my life at that time, because one group had a rock and roll band. I used to actually play with them. We'd sit in the backyard and play and go camping and play. And I had two friends that played bluegrass music. These guys, Chip and Jerry Dwyer, they were great musicians, man. And I would even play bluegrass music with them.
Playing harmonica.
Playing harmonica, yeah. So, and that would really get me pumped up. I love that.
Well, some of those songs are pretty fast.
They were, and I like that. And then as time went on, I would go hang out in Georgetown when I got old enough, and I hooked up with some bands and played like at Mr. Henry's.
Oh, yeah.
And Tenny Circle and the Bayou and Desperados, Cellar Door, and stuff like that. You know, so.
You played at Cellar Door?
Yeah, Cellar Door. I used to play there pretty much with Mike Carter and John Carroll.
Oh.
Yeah. And then,
when was that? What year?
That was back in the 80s, 70s or 80s, back when Starland Vocal Band was together.
Oh, yeah. You knew those guys?
Yeah, John Carroll played with them, and Bill Danoff and Taffy and Margot. And so they were real good friends of mine. And I learned a lot from them, too. I used to travel with them sometimes, and they let me be a stage manager for a while, help them out, and they let me sing sometimes and play harmonica a couple of shows and stuff with them, but like John and Mike and I had a band together, the Mike Carter Band. So, and Ronnie Newmar from Bandhouse Gigs.
Wow.
Yeah, him, and it was a whole bunch of us, man, friends. And we used to play together all the time as a Mike Carter Band.
Wow, you really have, it's music has been in your life, boy.
It has been,
Yeah.
I never thought of making a living with it, but that's how it turned out.
Yeah. Well, also wanted to go back and about your grandmother and the whistling, because the purpose of this podcast, this show, is not to try to have people play music usually, because there's so many outlets and there's so many amazing musicians. But not everybody really hears whistling.
That's what I found out. People always say that.
And it's such an easy thing. I mean, people whistle while you work. Everybody a lot of people know how to whistle. Most people do, but people don't really whistle for music in a sense.
It just I like to fish. And I'm out on the water sometimes, like country boy, out on the pond, out on the Potomac River. And I used to go by myself a lot, but that's how I occupy my mind while I'm waiting on the fish to bite.
Yeah, well, maybe you would just, if you don't mind giving us a little sample of what some whistling sounds like, some Jay Summerour, little special whistling.
All right, I'll do one or two.
All right. Man, that's great. I remember we went out to Port Townsend. You were teaching out there, and oh my goodness.
Did a whistling class.
A whistling class, with
I know.
Wells.
Lightning Wells.
Yeah,
That's
Lightning Wells.
One of my best friends.
Yeah, I know, but I'd never been to a whistling class before.
Oh, man, it was great. This dude is unreal. He does the old theater type whistling, like from the old Western movies. But it was amazing of how many people whistled they didn't really get it like that, but they loved the whistling songs and they remembered old theme songs like from Western movies and
Right.
stuff. So it ended up being a great class. I
Yeah,
had
that
a
was, oh
blast.
man, I love that. That was great fun. So you really have been playing around, around town, around Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
area for a long time, different bands. And you played with Warner Williams now for,
Over about 40 years.
wow.
It's about 30, 40 years.
And he's an amazing player, and what a machine. Boy, you kind of wind him up, and he'll play for days.
This guy's unreal, man. We would be riding in a van on the road, like after coming from playing late at night, and he would be singing different songs, man. Like all of them were different, man. I mean, like he just was like a walking jukebox.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, songs just came and came and came, and it was unreal. So that's how I learned a lot of music. It's through him doing that. We would sing stuff, riding in the van, and it was great. It took up a lot of the time, but and his picking is amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I mean, I first remember him coming into the barbershop, and everybody would just stop and listen.
Yeah. See, from my understanding, people talk about Piedmont blues, but they don't. The fact is that Piedmont blues is like guys that played lead, rhythm, and bass at the same time on the guitar while they were playing. And, like, that's really hard to do, but he does it great. Sometimes it's hard for a bass player to even play with us.
Right.
Because he plays the bass parts.
Yeah, well, I love that style of playing. I mean, that's what I really aspire to, playing that kind of music. I love that alternating thumb and whatever, and Warner certainly has mastered it.
Oh, man, he does. That's why I love playing with Eleanor, too. She do a lot of finger picking.
Yeah, Eleanor
too.
Ellis.
Yeah, she's unreal, man.
Oh, gosh, she's great. So you've been involved. You played for thousands, tens of thousands of people in your life and been around lots and lots of musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people do this? Why do people spend their time working on learning music and getting around and playing music? And why do people go to see music? And what is it about music?
Music affects people's lives. People live by music, I think. It's like back in, I guess, the 60s, and you had like the hippie movements and stuff like peace, love, and happiness and all that stuff, And, people were at peace then, because of the music. It was like a lot of love songs and stuff like that, you know. And then you had the rap scene and gang music, and then that came along. But I don't know, people live by music. Music can really calm you down. I feel so at ease when I play the blues, man. People used to think the blues was sad music, but it's not at all, everybody go through the problems you hear in the blues, but just the tone of it and the rhythm of it, it's just like, it puts you at ease, It does for me anyway.
Blues makes you feel good.
It does. It makes me feel real good. I love it.
Yeah, so you were saying a little earlier, it can sort of guide people, music can.
It does.
In their lives.
Yeah.
And how does it do that? I mean, what's...
Like it puts people, people go to a concert, man, they hear Marvin Gaye, they ready to go back and go to dinner and lay back with their old lady by a fire and be at ease, at peace,
There you go.
I mean, they love it, they when people leave a concert like that, you see everybody happy and relaxed and, ready to go out, they want to have a drink or whatever, and that's what that music do to them,
Yeah, oh my God. That's a great way to define it. Just go back and sit around with your old lady in front of the fire.
Yeah.
What's better than that?
It eases you.
Yeah.
It eases you, yep.
Yeah. We've both been Blues Week and the barbershop a lot. That's quite a community of people who sit around and play music. There's sort of like this unbroken bond.
Oh, definitely.
With people, that we know.
Yeah, definitely. I feel so good. I've done Augusta and I've done Port Townsend in Washington State, and like, man, I feel so good when I leave those places. It's a great feeling, and you're seeing all your friends, and I think more people need to go and get into that. It's a week with this music, like 24 hours a night, a day, and it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
I felt that it really kind of changed me. It put me on a different track, knowing that spending a week up there at Augusta, those Augusta moments that come out of nowhere, amazing sort of spiritual and friendship situations that just blow you away.
Yeah, it is. I tell you, it's like I was up in Augusta with Howard Armstrong and
oh, that's my bird clock.
Hey, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's peaceful.
We got the bird clock here at Studio
peaceful.
1 of the Planetary Gig Society.
Yeah, but you met a bunch of people. Archie Edwards back in the days, It was great being around those type people, and you learn a lot from them, and they really put you at ease about music. And then I was out west with like Taj Mahal and Reverend Wilkins and John Cephas and Nat Reese and Sherman Holmes. I've been there with a lot of people, and like, man, just meeting those people helped me a lot. Like with stuff I thought I knew about music and I didn't, but like just talking to them and telling stories like, Drink Small and
Drink Small.
Yeah, Drink Small from down South Carolina. I'm going to him this week. I'm going to see him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll be down there with him. But, Louisiana Red and John D. Home and all those guys. These guys knew Robert Johnson back in the days,
Mm-hmm.
And you always heard blues stories, but they told real stories that touch you, and let you know where the blues come from. That's why I think everybody should go to Blues Week or Augustus to hear the stories,
Yeah.
You can learn a lot from the stories.
Yeah, it's not all just about the music. The music is sort of the vehicle or something.
It is.
I came to the scene a little bit later, but that John Jackson was one of the sweetest men in the universe.
He was. He would tell you some stories too, because he wanted to share, and that's another thing about music. Like a lot of the older musicians, they willing to share their stories, and it's like playing the blues. I play the blues, so you gotta feel it. And I always tell people that you can look at it on paper and hear it, but you got to know about it. You got a whole education about the blues, and you can do it better.
Yeah, well, I think certainly good advice for people to just say what the heck and go learn some music. Start as a beginning harmonica player.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, that's it.
Pick up a guitar and learn a few chords to see what happens.
Yeah, I have a student now. He's great. He's learning quick, and he plays a little bit of guitar. He's learning guitars now, Andy. He's so great, man. But he's learning. He wants to learn like all the stories and the history, and he's into it like that. So he will learn. He's getting good too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you're coming upon retirement here kind of soon. What are you going to do after that? You
play music.
Play music.
I already got my mind made up. Yeah.
It's a good plan.
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah, I like touring. I like being on the road, and my kids are grown. They can take care of themselves now, but they want me to be happy too. So they know that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Well, another thing you said is you can learn so much from music through the playing with people, learning different licks and songs.
Yeah. I used to be in an orchestra, the Cambridge Harmonica Orchestra.
Oh, I remember hearing about that, I think.
Yeah, it was 60 harmonica players, more than that, really.
Wow.
But it was great, man. It was like, you learn so much from so many different people, man. I had Pierre Beauregard, and Annie Raines. And,
Annie Raines is
yeah,
fabulous.
Annie's fab. It's like all of us were in this orchestra together. So we traveled together and, went and stayed in Boston and played. And like, it was just great being around that many musicians, and learning like that. It was great.
Yeah, what is it about musicians? I mean, not that they're better people than other people, but sort of an openness or something? What do you find? What is it?
You at ease. Like I say, music puts you at ease. And like, it's a friendly atmosphere, it's like people just love it and they're loving people. Yeah.
Yeah, oh man, that sounds about right. Well, I don't know if you have some other thoughts. We usually try to talk a little bit about, what we can do, but you've had some really good suggestions for people. We talk about the power of music. I don't know if you have any other thoughts before we wrap up. Certainly, maybe I can get you to play another quick, whistle another song, or if you have anything else you want to say before that. All right. Hey, thanks very much, Jay. Really appreciate it. That's great whistling, by the way. Hopefully that'll be an inspiration to some people.
Thank you. It's another instrument.
All right, it's another instrument.
It's another instrument.
I'm gonna start practicing.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Jay Summerour. Appreciate it.
Have a nice day.
You've been listening to Planetary Gig Talk: Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society. We talk with musicians and others about the power of music and how we can use music to help create a better world. Please check out our website, www.planetarygigs.org, for information about some of the organizations promoting music and musicians, resources about the power of music, books, movies, articles, including new research on music and the brain. We welcome your support. The Planetary Gig Society is a Section 501c3 charitable organization, and you can donate on the website. You also can receive a free email signature block demonstrating your support for Planetary Gig Society. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Planetary Gigs. And we want to thank fabulous musician and teacher Eric Weinberg of Little Eric Studios for the Planetary Gig Talk music titled Chill Kid, It's Saul. So please check out Planetary Gig Talk on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Subscribe and hear all the upcoming episodes. Thanks very much.